The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Television, radio, internet, the world. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the PWR post-show, the post-show of the 2011 WWE Royal Rumble. I want to thank all of you who joined us live for our live coverage of the Royal Rumble. It was an eventful night, of course, and the winner of the 2011 WWE Royal Rumble was Alberto Del Rio. 40 men entered, but Alberto Del Rio was able to win it all, and he is going into WrestleMania for the championship of his choosing. Damian Nelson coming to you here from the Pro Wrestling Report studios. The Pro Wrestling Report, of course, broadcast on 540 ESPN each and every Monday night, right after WWE Raw, and the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television, which is also broadcast on Fridays on demand at pwrshow.com and on Time Warner Cable throughout southeastern Wisconsin. I want to first thank all of you who tuned into the Wrestling Radio Awards today, and all of you who voted and gave me the great honor of being Wrestling Radio Host of the Year. Thank you so much to all of you for that. Also, our interview with Al Snow won Media Interview of the Year, and you can catch that show via the archives at audiowrestling.com. Let's get into the Royal Rumble. David Hero is going to be joining us shortly. Let's get into the Royal Rumble. We're going to be taking your phone calls and reading your tweets and your emails and your comments. Our username on Twitter is at PWR Show. At PWR Show. If you're new to the show, be sure you also favorite and follow the show here on Blog Talk Radio so you never miss an update as to when we're going to be covering these events. Every major pay-per-view event, we will be live with the stream, our new show that debuted tonight, right here before the post show on Blog Talk Radio, with live coverage of the pay-per-view events as they happen and providing you an alternative to ordering the pay-per-view live if you so choose to do so. The number you can call into, ladies and gentlemen, is 347-996-5278. 347-996-5278. We're going to be taking your phone calls in just a few moments. Let's talk about the Royal Rumble event itself. The event opening up with the World Championship title on the line, the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. It was Edge, the champion, versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, we favored Dolph Ziggler to win this matchup going into it. Dolph Ziggler provided an amazing bit of athleticism in that matchup, a match that the crowd in Boston was deeply into. However, Edge would be the winner and retain the title. Now, here's where the controversy comes in. Edge did use the spear. Now, at the same time, he used the spear after he was slapped several times in the face by Vicky Guerrero, who got involved in the matchup. The referee was standing right there. Eventually, it would be Kelly Kelly, who came out and took out Vicky Guerrero. So Vicky's down. And shortly thereafter, there's a ref bump. The referee goes down. So both Vicky and the ref are down. The spear by Edge is executed. Ziggler's down. It's a kill switch. Unprettier. Maybe a bit of a tribute to Christian by Edge. Ziggler lays down for the 1-2-3. And he does not win the World Heavyweight Championship as we thought he would tonight. A great match overall, an excellent match, but you got to wonder what might happen on SmackDown this Thursday night. This Friday night, rather. You got to wonder what's going to happen when Vicky, who is the acting general manager of SmackDown, comes out and has something to say about the fact that Edge used a spear. Now, Vicky reminded us before the match that the spear was illegal and would not be permitted tonight in the matchup. Didn't matter. And you got to wonder if a disqualification or if some type of reversal might happen. But even with that, how is it logical and how can you explain it when Vicky was involved in the matchup beforehand? Maybe we're going to see Teddy Long return. Maybe we're going to see Teddy Long return, and maybe Vicky is no longer the acting general manager, which could explain that away. But regardless, it was an excellent matchup. Now, this was unfortunately not a good night for David Hero, as his DHHS match, which was this one, did not go in the way he so saw it. And it's always fun to take a look back at the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time Television, to see the comments that we had on the pay-per-view before it happened and see how true or real some of those things were. And again, we're going to be taking your phone calls. The phone number is here on Blog Talk Radio only, 347-996-5278. Again, that's 347-996-5278. And we want to welcome all of you. We understand we're having some issues with our website. We're going to work with our web server. It's traffic overload right now, actually, is what's going on. So we apologize during that delay. We'll get that fixed in just a few minutes. And actually, it's fixed now, so you can head on over to the website, pwrshow.com, to continue the discussion. We want to hear your thoughts, of course. Excuse me for that, ladies and gentlemen. I assume you're hearing that Royal Rumble promo that we played by mistake. But we want to hear your comments. We want to see your comments on Twitter. And a lot of comments about that matchup, the Edge versus Ziggler match. And Dolph Ziggler really showed how great he is and how great he can be. And I don't think this is the end of Ziggler. Now, later on in the night, Ziggler would enter the Royal Rumble and not be successful there either. But good to see Ziggles, if you will, twice in the night here at the Royal Rumble. The next matchup, and this might be the first pay-per-view in history to start with two championship matchups. I'm sure I might be wrong. Correct me if I am. Was the Miz versus Randy Orton. The Miz one-on-one with Randy Orton, and a lot of people saying the Miz had no chance. Miz had no chance to win this matchup. Well, the Miz won, ladies and gentlemen. The Miz is still the WWE champion. He was stuck on it before he entered the ring in a backstage, almost backstage match. And it was a good match. Not as good as his opening matchup, I would say that. Not as good as the match between Ed and Ziggler, but a good match. Overall match to Miz retain the championship. So Miz to the WWE champion. And, you know, Michael was especially tremendous tonight in his commentary. Obviously favored the Miz, but got old real fast. It got not just real fast. So it's a fine line that Michael Cole and WWE walks with that commentary, and we would see that come to a head later on when John Cena, after being eliminated from the Rumble, has some choice words for Michael Cole. Overall, pacing is good this matchup, and I said earlier the crowd was not into it as they were first match. To finish the match, Randy Orton going for the KO. Miz missing the skull-crushing finale. Miz then decides it's time to leave. He grabs the title. He's able to walk out. Randy Orton stops that. Thing in this matchup. The Miz won. Nexus getting involved. Nexus comes walking down. Sans CM Punk comes walking down the aisle. Stands up on the apron. And then CM Punk attacking Randy Orton from behind. CM Punk attacks Randy Orton from behind, thus causing the Miz to win this matchup. Miz retains the WWE champion. Let's get a couple of phone calls. And the way we do our phone calls, ladies and gentlemen, here on Blog Radio, we have your number on screen, so we're going to call you out by area code that you're calling from. If you can share with us your name and the location you're calling from, that'll make the call go a lot smoother. In the interest of time, if you could just ask your question, make your comment, and then allow us to move on to the next caller. We would appreciate that. Let's go to a caller calling us from the 423 area code. Caller, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report post show.
Hey, Damien, this is Craig.
Craig, how are you?
Doing just fine. I'm from Johnson City, Tennessee. Oh, and I watched that tonight and that thing. Oh, I give it a fail. It was just horrible.
The entire pay-per-view?
What they did tonight. Yes, the entire pay-per-view.
Okay.
Everything just went wrong. It's just pitiful of what they're doing. It's just pitiful. And I'm just sick and tired of seeing them just go the entire opposite way of what they're doing, you know? They screw up every week, and I still watch, and it just drives me nuts.
All right. Well, thank you for that call. You know, I got to say, what's interesting about this pay-per-view is what you saw and who was focused on. You got Dolph Ziggler. You've got The Miz. You've got Alberto Del Rio. You've got Wade Barrett making a strong showing. You've got a lot of things that we didn't see a year ago at the Royal Rumble in this year's Royal Rumble. So you got to at least give some credit there for taking a fresh approach with some new talents. Let's go to our next caller, and we've got a caller from the 704 area code. Caller, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, Damien, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, man, I actually disagree with that last caller. I thought it was a great pay-per-view. I thought it was incredibly well written. I've been watching wrestling for 18 years. I thought the undercard was great. I thought the Rumble, the 40-man format was fantastic. Absolutely loved the John Morrison spot where he grabbed the apron and then jumped from the apron to the stairs.
That could have been one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. John Morrison is, I wouldn't say underrated, but John Morrison is a person who has just amazing athletic ability. And what he pulled off, I mean, it's almost undescribable. But he got eliminated. Well, got thrown over the top rope, lands on the apron, jumps over onto the barricade wall without hitting the floor, and then walks along the wall, jumps over onto the ring steps, and then back into the ring. Simply amazing.
I thought it was fantastic. I loved how they pushed Punk there at the beginning. Again, the John Morrison spot was incredible. The Santino at the end, I'm a huge TNA fan. I've not enjoyed WWE for a while. This threw me for a little bit of a curve. Love Alberto Del Rio, love his entrance, and I just thought it was a great pay-per-view, man.
Well, thank you very much for that call, and it seems as if the feedback in general has been it was a good pay-per-view. Obviously, there's going to be a few people out there who didn't like it, and there's going to be a lot of people out there who did like it. And overall, you know, I would have to say it was a decent show. I'm going to have to watch it again. As you know, we were live during the pay-per-view, and I tend to miss things, so we're trying to do a lot here. But there was some good stuff that happened. Two big returns, obviously, tonight in the Royal Rumble as well. We'll talk about those when we get to the Royal Rumble match itself. Let's continue along the phone calls here. We've got about 20 of you waiting on hold, so we appreciate your patience. And again, in the interest of time, please, once we take your call, we'll acknowledge you by area code. And then if you could share with us your name and the location you're calling from, then state your question or comment and allow us to move on to the next caller. Our next caller is from the 832 area code. Caller, you're live.
Yo, Damien, it's Ricardo from Houston.
Ricardo, how are you, sir?
I'm great. This has to be one of the greatest Rumbles I've seen. I marked out for Booker T. I marked out for Kevin Nash. The CM Punk thing with Nexus was great. Them being dominant the first half of the Rumble. And then the way it ended with Alberto Del Rio winning it with my favorite wrestler at the moment. It's just a great Rumble. The only thing that caught me off guard was the Divas match. I didn't think it made any sense for Eve to win the title, but oh well.
And in that Divas matchup, it was made by the Raw general manager a fatal four-way matchup, and obviously Lay Cool, who were working as one against Natalya. The real story here is Eve was added to the matchup, and it seemed like that was a great opportunity to maybe see somebody else who was awesome maybe make their debut here at the Royal Rumble, that being Awesome Kong. That would not be the case because Eve was the person thrown in, and Eve is the new Divas champion.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. I thought Kong was going to come in, but no, when Eve came out, I was like, okay. Whatever. But great Rumble. Great Rumble.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that call. Let's continue with your phone calls as we talk about the 2011 WWE Royal Rumble. We want to welcome the 400 of you who are in the chat room here on Blog Talk Radio. We appreciate you joining us and being with us live. I want to thank all of you who joined us during the stream. Interested to hear your feedback on that show as we decide whether or not we're going to do it in the future and how often we're going to do that. So go ahead and send us an email via our website, pwrshow.com, or send us your comments on that. We would appreciate it. Let's go to our next caller, who is calling from the 904 area code. Caller, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report post-show.
Hey, Damien. It's Christopher in Nashville.
Hello, Christopher.
Hey, I was kind of shocked about how crazy the crowd went for Diesel. I was curious how you guys felt about that one. I thought it was overall a great show.
Thank you very much for that call. Here's the thing. Kevin Nash, as you may or may not know, was scheduled to be on the Pro Wrestling Report for the last couple of weeks, and Kevin Nash was not able to appear. I think it's now obvious to all of you why Kevin Nash was not able to appear. Would have been in a situation where he would have had to say something that he probably shouldn't have said. Either way, Kevin Nash is a person who, and we're not going to hide it, is a friend of the show, a person we speak to on a regular basis, specifically David Hero. And Kevin Nash is a very smart man, and it's great to see Kevin do what was right for Kevin. I hope this leads to a send-off, if you will, at WrestleMania, because that's something he deserves at this time in his career where he's really, at this point, thinking of hanging it up. And to see him back in the Rumble was very special and very fun. And remember that chant that we all heard, let's go Diesel, let's go Diesel. And that was one of the most prevailing chants of the night during the pay-per-view. So thank you very much for that, caller. And we're going to be joined by David Hero here in just a moment to get his thoughts on the pay-per-view. We've still got about 20 of you waiting on hold. We'll get to your calls. We've got about 20 minutes of showtime remaining. We're going to try to get to as many of you as possible. But the other matchup that we didn't talk about yet was the Divas Championship. We did talk about it with that caller, but Eve is the new Divas Champion, and Alberto Del Rio wins the Royal Rumble, including a returning Booker T and Kevin Nash. No Triple H in the Rumble tonight, and that's a bit surprising because I, for one, thought it was a given that good old Trips would return. David Hero, you were watching the Royal Rumble from Romines in Milwaukee with a lot of great fans of the Pro Wrestling Report from our hometown, obviously Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Your DHHS moment of the night didn't go quite as you thought it would, but what were your thoughts overall of the Royal Rumble matchups, not including the match itself, because we'll talk about that in a minute, but the world title, the WWE Championship, and the Divas Championship matchups?
Well, I thought that Edge and Dolph Ziggler actually put in one hell of an opener. I mean, they went close to, 20, 25 minutes, if not 30 minutes?
Yeah.
And, you know what? I DHH'd that Dolphy Z was going to grab the belt, and I'll be honest, for a while, it looked like it was going to happen exactly that way. But apparently, they're not comfortable with him yet. They don't feel that he's the kind of guy that can lead them into Elimination Chamber and then move on to WrestleMania. So, good for Edge. I mean, he's the safe bet on SmackDown, so of course they got to put him over. And then the Miz and Randy Orton, kind of what, we talked about on the Hashmark Be the Booker segment from Primetime, that the Miz was going to win either by pinfall, submission, count out, DQ, no matter what, he had to leave as the champion. So, and that he did, and interesting.
Let's be honest, David Hero. You said that. I said he was going to win with a pinfall 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. I drew pictures and everything.
Right, but a pinfall 1, 2, 3 means a clean one. It was a screw job.
There you go. Already.
Hey, you know what? You just quit spinning it. You know what it was. I mean, all of a sudden there's the Nexus out there and they're helping. And you know what? It was good for Miz. It just proves again he's the most cowardly champion in WWE/F/WWF history. I mean, there's never been has he ever really pinned anybody besides John Morrison, and John Morrison beat himself? So he has yet to get
over Randy Orton.
Right, but he's yet to get a true clean pinfall victory over anybody.
What's also interesting about that matchup is what is the story now with CM Punk and Randy Orton in the Nexus and the Miz?
It's going to be interesting. Well, obviously, John Cena's going to be going after the Miz, and now Randy Orton can now go after Punk and Nexus. So it's just interesting that I thought I booked a pretty good Royal Rumble, but apparently they obviously went in a different direction. There are a lot of things that we didn't foresee or we could talk about when we did the Be the Booker segment. I mean, we obviously couldn't have talked about Booker T. We couldn't have talked about Kevin Nash. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had no clue that Dolph Ziggler and Randy Orton would be coming into the Rumble, because that normally never happens, where the losers of the title matches wind up, in the Rumble. Just interesting. I mean, it was. I've never seen a Rumble done quite like this before.
It was an interesting Rumble, and many times during the Rumble, or at least during the Rumble at one time, Nexus was standing strong. Nexus defeating all comers, and Nexus, it looked like CM Punk may have won.
Yeah, I mean, Nexus, but here's the thing. They booked it strong for Nexus, but that house of cards fell pretty quick.
Yeah, at the hands of John Cena.
Yeah, they should have kept it going throughout most of the Rumble, is what they should have done. But I'm going to be honest. Go ahead.
I'll say this. It got boring real fast during that Nexus domination.
Well, yeah, because you think, okay, how can one guy overtake all of them?
Correct.
And then you decide, who's that one guy going to be,
And nobody was thinking of who that one guy ended up being initially, Great Khali.
Yeah, that was great when Khali came out.
Absolutely.
I mean, he may not be the most popular choice, but you know what? A guy with that freakish size is still, amazing to watch, and just how he towers over everybody.
And what they did was buy time for Cena. So that
Absolutely.
when Cena entered, he didn't have to enter against all 4 or 5 men because Khali had taken care of some of them, or at least beat them down a little bit. So very smart. And I can't imagine, and as we talked about on Primetime on Friday, doing the Be the Booker segment, how the hell do you put this match together? There's so many things going in so many different directions. It's got to be one hell of a pain to book something like this.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you can tell how difficult it is to book a match like that when they can't even find a spot for Cody Rhodes.
He's injured. They found a spot for Cody Rhodes without the distraction of 39 other people when they gave that time for Todd Grisham to read Cody's letter, David Hero.
Yeah. You know what? I'm impressed. It was actually very well written.
What does this mean for the Main Event Mafia and TNA Wrestling? Both Booker T and Kevin Nash returning to World Wrestling Entertainment tonight. We don't know for how long, but we know that TNA said that they was coming back on this Thursday's Impact. Might they have to be somebody else now?
You know what? You listen, if I'm Dixie Carter, I'm calling up my mom, Janice, and saying, why didn't we re-sign the guy that got the loudest crowd reaction out of 40 of the biggest superstars in wrestling?
Right.
Let's Go Diesel was the loudest chant of the night, and it was a profound loudest chant. I mean, you could tell that the crowd was definitely behind him.
And one hint to Kevin Nash's stay in WWE was that showdown, that face-off with him and the Big Show on the way back.
Yes. Put it this way, Vince McMahon heard that chant, and he knows that, you know what, it might only be a 6-month run or 1 year or even just through WrestleMania. Kevin Nash will have a match at WrestleMania after the crowd reaction he got tonight as Diesel. And for everyone that hated on Kevin Nash and said he's old and washed up and no good and whatever else, by that crowd reaction is why Kevin Nash is a draw. People still like him. Obviously, people still care about him. I mean, even when Booker T came out, people were unfamiliar with the music for the first 5 seconds. And then when he came out, the people at Romines went nuts. Same thing when Kevin Nash came out as Diesel. They all went nuts.
Kevin Nash still looking great. And another story coming out of the Royal Rumble, David Hero, which I'd like to get your comments on. The Miz eliminates John Cena. Now, if John Cena didn't win, and maybe Alberto Del Rio is going to go for Edge's championship at WrestleMania, but it seems like with what we've seen over the last few weeks, he's going to go more along the Raw WWE title side of things. But what's the story between The Miz and John Cena now? And you still got an issue between CM Punk and John Cena.
Well, for me, it's obviously going to go Miz versus John Cena at WrestleMania. They're actually the two most marketable guys on Raw. I mean, for as good as Randy Orton is, you want John Cena in front of the mass media because he's just more kid-friendly. I mean, he's done over 200 Make-A-Wishes right now. So,
and let's not discount the reaction when he was eliminated tonight. That place, the arena, if it were a balloon, got deflated at that point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was my pick to win. I mean, he's the guy. I mean, he's the home run guy. He's the guy that, if you need the big home run, you give to John Cena. He may not be the greatest wrestler out there, but he connects with the fans, and that is what draws money and what sells tickets.
The Royal Rumble overall, David Hero, did the extra 10 men matter? Yoshitatsu was in there for a while, by the way.
Yes, he was, and I don't know why you keep picking on the poor guy. But, yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, an extra 10 guys, it gives 10 more guys a pay-per-view paycheck, that way. Certain guys were missed. You didn't see the Usos. You didn't see, David Hart Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, I was rather surprised that there were people there that weren't on the pay-per-view, but overall, they did a good job. I mean, I loved the winner, Alberto Del Rio. I mean,
I thought you already knew that.
Well, yeah, I did already know that, but I mean, that scarf is flying high tonight.
How about yours? Were you wearing your scarf at Romines tonight?
You know what? I did not wear my scarf tonight for fear that Meathead would spill salsa on it or something,
Ooh.
So, yeah,
well,
man,
David Hero,
super friends out in force. You missed a heck of a party. Oh, by the way, you owe Kaz $10. He picked two guys for you. You had Zack Ryder and CM Punk, and you lost. So, but the lovely
Thanks,
Linda
pal.
Kay she picked Alberto Del Rio, and she won the big jackpot tonight.
Is she buying the Jameson for the suite at WrestleMania?
I'm sure she's going to have to now.
By the way, speaking of that sweet and sexy deal, the Pro Wrestling Report is giving you an opportunity to watch WrestleMania 27 from a suite with us. We only have one ticket left, David Hero. One ticket remaining. That can be purchased at wrshow.com. Only one left. They went a lot faster than we anticipated, and we're actually down to one left as of 2 days ago. So a lot of people have shown interest in that one ticket, but the cash walks. And as soon as it is purchased is when we will be officially sold out. So we want to thank everybody for their support on that. In closing, David Hero, your thoughts on the Divas Championship going around the waist of Eve tonight, being taken away from Natalya?
You know what? I love Eve. You know what? She's come so far from being the Diva Search winner. Apparently they felt that, the title was getting stale with Natalya, and they weren't going to put it back on, Flawless, I guess, or Lake Cool. So, hey, you know what? Eve is a great pick. She's strong, she's sexy. She'll look great on the poster. You can't go wrong that way.
Tomorrow night, you and Frank are going to be live on 540 ESPN. I'm going to be actually going to Dallas for the Super Bowl, where the Green Bay Packers are going to hopefully win. So you guys are going to be at the helm, and tomorrow night your guest is Shane Helms. Now, I understand you're going to ask the tough question and try to get a little bit of a clarity on his recent comments about Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, we'll talk about the whole Shawn Michaels and the whole Twittergate thing, and who knows, maybe we will talk about a little Val Venus action too.
That's the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, streaming here on Blog Talk Radio and on our website, pwrshow.com, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 Eastern. David Hero, we're going to let you get back to the road and back home so you can get ready for tomorrow night's radio show. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Post Show.
Peace. We'll see you later.
We're going to continue to take your phone calls, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, we're going to acknowledge you by your phone number, your area code, rather, and if you could then tell us your name and where you're calling from, and then state your comment or question, and allow us to move on to the next caller. Next caller we're going to take is coming from the 724 area code. From the 724 area code, caller, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report Post Show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
You can hear me? Hey, I just wanted to say that it was a great show. I don't know if anybody else enjoyed the Cena Hornswoggle thing as much as I did. I know that it was a little bit out there and whatnot, but in the Rumble sometimes you need that little pick me up to get the crowd going again. And I think that Hornswoggle was, he was hilarious. So
it was a fun time in the matchup.
Yeah, it was a fun time in the matchup. It wasn't strictly business, but it gave the little kids and I think even me just a little joy. So. I give the Rumble, I give it an A, but not a strong A. And big fan of the Pro Wrestling Report. Anything else to say? I watch you guys on YouTube all the time. Love you. Later on.
Well, thank you very much for your support, and thank you for joining us here live tonight. And we are available on YouTube. Our YouTube username is Max Sports. You can check out the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television Show and many other features there. Let's continue taking your phone calls. Our number, 347-996-5278. We're going to go to a caller who looks to be calling from the Atlanta area in the 770 area code. Caller, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report Post Show.
How you doing, Damien? This is Brian from Atlanta, Georgia.
Brian from the ATL, doing tremendous. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. I spoke to you last time about the Bound for Glory Post Show. That was a good show I watched. I remember that. Yeah, okay. Getting to the actual match, I got to say, 2011 looks like it's going to be the year for Del Rio. That was he shocked the world on that one. I really have to say that.
How did you feel about the Hornswoggle twist? Not the Hornswoggle twist. I'm sorry, not the Santino Morello twist.
You know what? I don't know about you, but I didn't forget about Santino. I was I was thinking to myself. I said, watch. It said, as soon as everybody thinks that this is going to happen one way, Santino's going to come out of nowhere. I thought that Santino was going to win because I tweeted out tell me it's not going to end like this. And Del Rio wins it's going to be his year.
Hey, we had a comment on Twitter, for just a second, please. A comment on Twitter from a Twitter username Dave the Mark, who I think sums it up pretty good. It says, what a roller coaster of a pay-per-view. Upsets, surprises, great wrestling, bait and switches, and a main event set. But you already knew that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Shout out to him. Shout out to him. But yeah, I gotta say, big time salute for the 6-time, former 5-time WCW champion, my man, my favorite wrestler, Booker T. Big shout out to him, man. I was so happy when he came back. And another big shout out to Big Daddy Diesel, Kevin Nash. I was like, wow, they really pulled some nostalgia on us that year. That was something big. I really liked that.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your call. We're going to talk about that just a little bit, specifically the return of Booker T and Kevin Nash to the pay-per-view tonight. You know, I wonder how many fans are sitting out there wondering where Booker T has been since he left WWE in 2007, and that's the problem with TNA Wrestling right now is people still ask that question. We got an email the other day, actually, someone asking us, whatever happened to Mickie James? Where is she? Awareness, 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 and it takes marketing for that. But this is not about TNA. This is about the WWE Royal Rumble where Alberto Del Rio won it all tonight. The Miz retaining his WWE Championship, Edge retaining his World Heavyweight Championship. Let's go to another caller calling us from the 610 area code. Caller, you are live.
Hey, what's up? This is Costa from Slatington. How you doing?
Tremendous. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Oh, man, this pay-per-view was awesome, except for the Miz and Randy Orton match. That one sucked.
Okay.
So boring, man, until the ending with CM Punk came in. But other than that, just, oh, my God, they were just sitting around. I mean, Miz was awesome, as he showed later that night when he flipped out Cena. But other than that.
It did slow down. That match did slow down substantially over the first match. And a lot of people were asking, why would you start the pay-per-view with the World Heavyweight Championship matchup? If you really look at it now that it's over, they had to go in that order. I mean, they could have started with the WWE as well, but I think it made sense the way they did it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that Dolph Ziggler Edge match was awesome. That drove me nuts. And then I fell asleep halfway through the Orton match, so.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your call. We got a lot of calls to get to here. We're going to go on to our next caller, who appears to be calling from the 469 area code. Caller, you are live.
Hey, Damien. This is Raul from Dallas.
Hi there. How are you?
Hey, man. I just thought the show was great. It was very strong. It was full of amazing surprises. Diesel definitely looked great. Booker T just looked # tremendous out there doing the spinneroonie. And Santino and Hornswoggle just made it fun TV to watch. You know, you're watching the Royal Rumble. The Rumble did, even if it was 40 men, it did not stall at all. It went by fairly quickly, and it's definitely one of the best Royal Rumbles I've ever seen.
All right. Well, thank you for those comments. And you know, the Royal Rumble is a match, as we were talking with David Hero about, that's difficult to book and put together. And really, as we read that comment from Twitter, it was a roller coaster ride. It was all over the place. There were highs, there were lows, there were ups, there were downs, there was comedy, there was intensity, there was action, there were surprises. And that's really, at the end of the day, what you sort of want out of the matchup. Let's go to our next caller, who's calling from the 706 area code. Caller, you're live. All right, let's go on to our next caller, who's calling from the 509 area code. Caller, you are live here on the Pro Wrestling Report Post Show.
Hi there, this is Josh from Richland.
Hello, Josh. What did you think of tonight?
I thought it was a really good Rumble. It felt kind of like old school, where everybody was involved with all of it the whole night and stuff like that. And there's a lot of ups and downs and surprises. I think the only down spot for me was actually the Hornswoggle spot, just because, I don't know, it seemed to like suck the life out of it for me. But you know, other than that, I thought it was one of the better pay-per-views I've seen WWE do in a while.
All right. Thank you very much for that phone call. Let's go to a caller calling us from the 847 area code. Caller, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report Post Show.
This is Dan from Chicago. What's going on? I enjoyed the Royal Rumble. I was hyperventilating a little bit when I saw Santino come in because I really thought they were going to have Santino win, but thank God they didn't. It was one of those moments where, oh my God, I forgot he was in there. Yeah. It was crazy. I'm disappointed, and I've been hearing reports of Sting coming in today. What's the status with that? If you want to get into that, we could maybe talk about that tomorrow. But I really enjoyed the Rumble. Like I said, I thought Santino was going to win it. I'll let you go.
All right. Thank you very much for that call from Chicago. As far as Sting goes, he was rumored to be a part of the pay-per-view tonight. There were some indications that he would be a part of it. And what I really would love to have seen was Sting be involved and get that final run with WWE and go into WrestleMania potentially with that match with The Undertaker, but apparently that not in the plans. Sting may still show back up in TNA. As we talked about earlier, as we talked about earlier, the main event Mafia rumored to return as of this Thursday's Impact. Now, we're going to find out tomorrow night when TNA tapes those shows that are going to air this week what direction that's going to go in. But we have no additional insight on the status of Sting right now, aside from the fact that he wasn't at the Rumble tonight. So one would assume that he's going to be going to he's going to be going back to TNA Wrestling. Let's go to a caller in the 787 area code. Caller, you are live on the Pro Wrestling Report post show.
Hello. My name is Louis from Puerto Rico.
Hello, Louis from Puerto Rico. Tremendous. What did you think of the pay-per-view tonight?
All right. I liked it, but I can't say I didn't see it coming. You know, if you look at the Royal Rumble participants, the only one they were promoting was Alberto Del Rio, having him in Raw and SmackDown. Mm-hmm. So I can't say I didn't see it coming. And I was happy to see Kevin Nash, but I think I see the Click and for the Hall of Fame.
Indeed. That's not a bad idea, not a bad play at all. Thank you very much for that call from Puerto Rico. I think our first international caller here on Blog Talk Radio. Well, it's not really international, but it's international. You know what I mean. 202 area code caller from the 202. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report. All right. Looks like doing tremendous. Hey. What do you have for us?
Yeah. I was just calling with the pay-per-view tonight. It was really good. I'm really happy to see Alberto Del Rio get the win tonight. This is, matter of fact, I'm from Washington D.C. This is Ron. Okay. Alberto Del Rio was really great. I love to see new talent, especially Alberto Del Rio, who this gimmick that he's doing right now, I mean, is old school, but it's still fresh. Yeah. And, you know, and that's what makes it so good. And I'm glad to see it. And I went on the internet, and a lot of people really bash Del Rio winning, but a lot of people have always been saying ever since John Cena been winning the WWE title or been getting over, they was like, we need something different. And once they get something different, they bash it. I just don't get it. But I really
that point needs to be emphasized because it's so true and it's so frustrating at times. But thank you very much for that call from out in D.C. We have 3 minutes of show remaining. We're going to try to get it to as many of you as possible. If you can't get in tonight, make sure you join us tomorrow night live on ESPN Radio. We're going to be streaming live here on Blog Talk Radio. More Rumble discussion, and we're going to be taking your phone calls. As a matter of fact, most of the first hour of tomorrow's show is going to be dedicated to the phone zone and your calls. Let's go to a caller in the 916 area code. Caller, you're live.
Hey.
Oh, sorry, caller. You're back live again.
Hi, this is Curtis from Sacramento.
Hello, caller.
Hi.
Yes. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Curtis from Sacramento.
All right. What did you think of the Royal Rumble match tonight?
I actually thought it was a good pay-per-view. Probably one of the best they've done in a while. I like Del Rio winning. He's probably been the only one that's been built properly for the Rumble. The other thing I wanted to cover was the Divas match. I'm kind of disappointed that Awesome Kong didn't show up because everybody was calling for her, and then Eve came out, and then it was just a giant disappointment. And her winning really just dumbed down the Divas division for me.
But she cried. Didn't you feel for her?
Not really.
Thank you very much for that call out in Sacramento. Let's go to another caller calling us from the 318 area code. Caller, you're live.
Hey, Damien, this is Will from Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Hello, Will from Louisiana. What do you think of the Royal Rumble?
I'm sorry, I gotta disagree with a lot of people. I did not like Alberto Del Rio winning the Rumble. You know, I'm gonna be one of those pessimists, you know, and I know David Hero's not gonna like it. But I felt like, you know, somebody else should have won it. I'd have rather seen Barrett, or to be honest, I'd rather see Orton win it, but whatever. And another thing about this pay-per-view that I really enjoyed, though, I really did enjoy it up until the last bit when I saw Alberto Del Rio win, but the rest of the Rumble was great. The first match, unbelievable. Edge and Dolph Ziggler just totally brought the house down. But there's a lot of loose ends that are going to be tied up within the next couple weeks. Kelly getting involved with Vicky Guerrero, Nexus helping out The Miz. It's going to be a very interesting next couple of weeks of seeing what's going to happen on Raw and SmackDown. I'm very looking forward to it. But, again, I just didn't like Alberto Del Rio winning.
All right. Thank you very much for that call. And that's the point of the night, I'll say. The Royal Rumble is supposed to do exactly what you said it did. It's supposed to create intrigue. It's supposed to build drama. It's supposed to take you in some new directions, and they certainly, definitely did that tonight with the Royal Rumble. So many things coming out of it, so many unanswered questions. It's going to be an interesting Raw tomorrow night. live on the USA Network, and we're going to be right on after that, live on 540 ESPN, streaming here on Blog Talk Radio and all over the world at pwrshow.com, espnmilwaukee.com as well. I'm sorry we're not able to get to any more of our phone callers right now. We are literally out of time, less than 30 seconds remaining in the show. I want to thank all of you who joined us for the stream, our debut edition of the stream tonight. We're seeking your feedback on that show. Send us an email to comments at pwrshow.com. Let us know what you thought, what you want to see added or subtracted to it. And sorry we couldn't get to you, but we will be dedicating the first hour of the program tomorrow to all your phone calls. So, thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, on the Pro Wrestling Report post show for the 2011 WWE Royal Rumble.